For more than 112 years, Frank Lloyd Wright's landmark Unity Temple has stood near the center of Oak Park, Illinois. Almost from the start, it was hailed as a masterpiece. But for almost the last 2 years, after decades in which the walls of the temple periodically, sometimes literally, have been falling down around members of the congregation, it's been closed to the public for a massive restoration. But here we are, Chicago Public Square fans, about to get a sneak preview, the first view of what awaits the public when Unity Temple reopens in June. I'm Charlie Meyerson, full disclosure, a member of the congregation, never hit by any of that falling debris. Along with Frank Pond behind the camera, a 35-year volunteer with the Frank Lloyd Wright Trust, including time on the board and a tour guide here at Unity Temple when it's open. And our tour guide is architect Gunny Harbaugh, who has almost 30 years of experience, much of it with landmark or landmark-worthy buildings. He's one of Chicago Magazine's former Chicagoans of the Year and a board member of the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. He's also lead architect of this Unity Temple restoration project. Thank you for your time, Gunny.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
So what do we have here?
So, as you mentioned, Unity Temple was built in 1908, and we're trying to give it another 100+ years. It's had a lot of things done to it in the past, including in the 1970s a major renovation that included restoration of the exterior, where they applied shotcrete, or gunite as it's known, to the whole surface of the outside, with the exception of the columns. Those columns up there are the original decorative columns that were not touched in that 70s restoration. So subsequent to that, over decades, there's been a lot of further deterioration, and so this part of this major restoration is to return the outside back to its wholeness. And in doing that, we've had to remove some large areas of failing concrete and some cracks and things like that. And so one of the big challenges on the project has been to match the 1970s shotcrete with new shotcrete. And one of an interesting sidebar story of this whole restoration is that the guys that are doing this project are the sons of the guy that did it in the 70s. So that's kind of a fun part of the story. Ward Construction is the subcontractor that's doing the concrete work. Anyway, we'll walk by here and I'll point out where there's some very first concrete and then the 70s concrete. And right here on this wall, there's one patch that you can sort of see on the right side that runs up. That's one of the larger patches. Mostly they're small patches, and they've been blended in as very closely to what the 70s material was.
Let's hit it. Walk in the plank.
In fact, this is the guy. This is the gentleman right here that's doing the work. He's a true tradesman, craftsman of this very interesting business, which is concrete, shotcrete. So in this corner in here, you can actually see at the jamb of this art glass window, which is missing and being restored. There's original concrete right there. This is the 70s concrete here, which is what we're trying to match.
Lots of dust. I'm glad I didn't wear my good gym shoes today.
Now we're going to go inside, and of course there are originally were three beautiful pairs of art glass doors which are going to come back, and those will be back pretty soon actually. How you doing? So now we're in the foyer, and one of the things about this building is typical of Wright is that he forces you on this path of discovery. And you're making lots of turns this way, that way, 90-degree turns. So now we've entered the building. You also have the compression of a low ceiling. And we have to make a decision. Do we want to go to the temple or do we want to go to Unity House? We'll go quickly to Unity House and see what's going on there. That's a little further behind, I'll say, and then we'll go in and see the temple, which is almost all done.
All right, this is sort of the social space of the congregation, of the church, where they have meals and Social gatherings.
As you can see, this is actually a two-story space, and it's all filled with scaffolding because they're still working on the ceiling of this space. If you want to try to climb the stair.
Sure, let's try to climb the stair. I'll follow the cameraman this time. Thank you, Frank. It's narrow, and again, as Wright intended, it's kind of a dark passage here before you emerge into some lighted space.
So this is one of the classrooms. This is one of the classroom spaces, and where they're standing out there now is the scaffolding we just saw, which is, of course, in the air where they are. They are starting to apply the wood trim to the plaster. This gentleman here is doing painting. He's a true craftsman. He's the one who's applying all these beautiful, very transparent paints that go on this textured plaster to recapture the original beauty of the building. And that's one of the biggest part of the restorations has been to recreate these surfaces in a way that they were when the building was originally finished in 1908. Subsequent to that, they had many, many coats of latex paint that were put over and over and over them, and this means that we'll be able now to really experience the building as it was intended to be by Wright in 1908. You can see he's applying the paint with a roller, and then they rub it off so that the paint actually settles in the valleys, if you will, of the textured surface of the plaster. And there are a number of different textures of plaster and in several different colors, so it gives you this beautiful array of organic architecture. Let's go down to the temple now.
The bravest man here is cameraman Frank Pond, who's keeping his eye on the camera and trying not to, and so far successfully not tripping over the long cable connecting the microphone to our camera. Hold on.
This gentleman here is actually stripping the paint off of this concrete steps, and this was the paint that we believe was added by Ogilvana Wright in a previous restoration. You see it has that red color to it, and she was a big fan of that. So they came in here also. That was in that I don't know if it was in the 60s or 70s, but anyway, they completely renovated the building, painted all the walls white, and they painted all the floors red. So we're removing that.
Fixing the mistakes of the past. We're headed now into the worship space of Unity Temple.
So much like the coming into the building, now we're continuing our path of discovery, making more turns.
Traffic signals needed at this stairway. And this is the grand space.
And now we're in the sanctuary, yeah. So this is almost done now, and you can begin to see they have the scaffolding up because they're placing the art glass ley lights below the skylight. I forgot to point out at Unity House, you could actually see the new skylight that was up there between where the ley lights go. And they're still doing some removal of concrete, which is the blasting that the jackhammers that you hear. So in this space, you really get a sense of the soft wash of color that covers all of this textured plaster, and basically gives you the sense that you're in a glade in the woods, and the dappled light that comes down through the skylights and through the high wall, clear story windows, and cascades down into the space of the sanctuary. And this is where all the pews are, where all the congregants stand or sit, and worship. So this is the main event in here.
Well, let's head back out and find out where this whole project sits as we talk to one of the major architects of the protocol here. I'll follow you, Frank.
These are some of the crates that contain all the art glass that's now beginning to come back into the building to be reinstalled. That was all carefully removed, cataloged, crated, sent to California where it's been under restoration for the past year or so. And now it's coming back and getting ready for reinstallation.
All right. Back out this way?
Yeah.
I kind of like these doors. And now let me introduce you to Heather Hutchinson, who's been the executive director of the Unity Temple Restoration Foundation since 2014. How's the work going overall?
Excellent, Charlie. You just heard it from Gunny. What a master, huh?
Yeah, we're very lucky that you've let us in here. What can people do to help this project?
Well, it's a $23 million project, and we're really looking for private support all the way around. We were very fortunate to receive a $10 million grant from the Alphawood Foundation to kick this project off, to launch it. And then the congregation also came through with $1.75 million. We've received some other gifts from members of the Chicago community and the surrounding communities, but we're still just a little over halfway. And we really need, at this point, for everybody to try and look into their hearts and look into how much they appreciate the preservation world and be as generous as they can.
So what can regular people who don't have their own brand new website at chicagopublicsquare.com do to get in to look at this renovated landmark?
Well, tours are going to begin in July. We're going to celebrate the rededication of the building the weekend of June 17th. That's on Saturday. And we do have a fabulous website ourselves. It's www.utrf.org. And there's lots more video, lots more photos there so they can take a look. And it's also the place where people can go to make a charitable gift.
Which I encourage you to do. Watch for more like this on chicagopublicsquare.com. Thanks to Frank Pond for the camera work. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Gunny. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and stay tuned for more.